All righty. Hola, ¿cómo están? Bien? Plugging along? All right. Well, we're gonna do a little review together. Gonna work on those verbs that we worked on yesterday. Then I'm gonna give you some time to work on some more verbs today. So it's kind of a grammar-y day, but it's not gonna be me talking at you too much. So there's that. So first of all, I just actually want to stop for a second and talk about grades. If you haven't noticed, I put 3 grades into Skyward. So everything is fairly up to date unless you've turned in things today. So there was an exit ticket from that first week of school. There was your Kien Soy project, which I will say, if you have still not presented, yesterday was my last day of in-class presentation. So if you weren't here yesterday, and you need to present, I just need you to stick around after 10th period, come back to my Zoom, and you can just present during my student support hours, okay? So that's gonna be your best bet if you have not presented yet for your Kien Soy project, all right? Otherwise, if you did not turn in your vocab, that was due Monday night, and that was the 3rd assignment in there. So there are 3 assignments. If you are missing something, please turn it in. We'll take off a couple points, but it's still very much worth it to turn it in. I understand that we're all kind of getting used to things and figuring out technology and Wi-Fi and whatever. So I will probably take off, 2 points, 3 points, and still accept your work. So please make sure you get that to me ASAP. So if you are not doing well right now, you still have every ability to get there. So make sure you check. Otherwise, let's kind of jump into some verbs. Yesterday, we went over regular AR, ER, IR verbs, and then we went over 3 pretty common irregulars, ser, estar, and ir. What I would like to do is a very quick refresh on those. And if you are not feeling amazing about them, you need your notes from yesterday, okay? So either you printed them off or you drew a little chart on your notebook. And if you weren't here yesterday, you go to my assignments from yesterday, which would be the 11th, okay? And you pull up what I presented yesterday. And if you need help filling it in, then you go to my YouTube video. So that's kind of the process you go through if you miss class, all right? Otherwise, hopefully you're keeping yourself organized. You're either printing things and you have a folder, or you're putting these all into a big Google folder on the computer, or you're taking really good notes in your notebook, all right? I'm not there to hound you. I'm not there to check out what you're doing. But obviously, you're still going to get a grade. So you need to be making sure you're keeping on top of your stuff, okay? All right, so let's talk for a second. AR verbs, okay? In your head right now, when you go through your AR endings, and usually I'd have you turn to your partner and tell them, but we're not gonna do that right this second. So in your head, you're going, o, as, a, amos, ais, on. Okay, and then we talked about ER and IRs, which are pretty similar. In your head, you're going O, S, A, amos / emos, ace / east, and n. And then we did ear, ser, and a star. So for ear, you're thinking yo. Everybody say it. You don't have to unmute, just say it. Yo, boy. And for ser, you're thinking yo, say it. See your little mouth move, soy. And for a star, you're thinking yo. Great, estoy. All right, so last night you had some homework to look at in the textbook. I know some of you did it, some of you didn't. We're going to talk about textbooks the second half of class. So if you are having a textbook problem, I will go through all that second half of class. So for now, I want you to do some practice, all right? So what I would like you to do is pull up my homepage. I feel like we go there most days. So I will screen share it. You can maybe do 2 screens here if you want to watch my screen share real quick. Otherwise, just go to the current lesson. It's kind of where we always go. It's an agenda for the day with some links on it. So give you a second to get there. Today's lesson, current lesson, it says number 1, studyspanish.com, regular AR, ER, IR, ear, dar, and a star. All right. Unfortunately, I didn't have Sayer that I wanted you to do. So it's ear and dar and a star. Dar is pretty regular. I'll give you a little hint right now. The yo form is irregular. Anybody know what it is? It's a yo form of dar. Yo. I say I give. Anybody know it?
Yo, doy.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. Give you a point for that. Yo doy. So now you know, and the rest of it's regular. All right, so listen, let me tell you about the site, and then you can just go. I'm going to give you about 10 minutes to practice these three things, okay? So the site is called studyspanish.com. Now, I have provided you with a direct link to where I want you to go. And if you just look with me, I'll show you what it looks like. But you can also use this site anytime you want to practice grammar. All right, it's not good for vocab because it's not linked to your book, but it's great for grammar. So literally you can go studyspanish.com, easy to remember. You click on a little grammar button on the homepage, and then it'll take you here, and you can see there's a bajillion different topics. You can click on all these different units. You can review things. I have it set to go to regular verbs today. And the best thing that you can do to actually like get some practice questions is it's called a basic quiz. Now it's not a quiz, okay? I'm not taking this for points. This is just practice, but it's called a basic quiz, all right? So look, this one's super straightforward. Classify the verb, choose the correct translation, little drop box, write it in, and then at the bottom you submit your answers. And it just tells you which ones you missed. So if you missed any, you go back and look at them, figure out why. If you get them all right, then you go back to my homepage and you do the second activity. Okay, it is another one, just regular regular verbs, A-R-E-R-I-R. All right, then if you have time before I cut you off, which you probably will, you go back and try the third one, which is some irregulars. All right. So I would like you to get that practice in. I'm going to set my timer for about 10 minutes. It is not graded. It's not something I will ever see. It is just your practice. All right. So you kind of control your fate here. I'm not watching you. I'm not over your shoulder being like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? All right. It's on you to practice. That's the thing about being at home, right? Either you do it and you end up doing well, or you don't do it and there's a good chance you're not going to do well. So please, when I give you time to practice, use it appropriately and practice. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. If you have a question about anything, feel free to put it in the chat. Feel free to just ask me. Otherwise, your 10 minutes to do those 3 activities starts now. So again, the links are all under my current lesson for today.
I have a question.
Sure.
I kind of missed part of what you said, like at the very beginning. It cut out a little bit.
Oh, I saw
you
your
said
message.
Something about can soy.
That was just that project. I saw your message there. It was just that project. I was just saying, basically, I updated my grade book in Skyward. So if there's a question on anything, just to email me or message me through Canvas. And
Oh, okay.
Okay. Anybody else? Quick questions? Okay. Well, I'm going to stop talking at you. If you have a question on something, put it in the message box, and I will be sure to help you. All right, about 5 more minutes. Dos minutos más. Can I just kind of get a wave? Are we done with all 3? Give me a wave if you're done with all 3. Okay. Give me a wave if you're on the second one still. Second one? Okay, a couple people. All right. Well, you know what? I might as well. You got 1 more minute. So if you're done, hopefully you're relaxing or you're chatting on your phone for a minute or you're whatever. What I want to do now is actually transition into a few more irregular verbs. And then we're just going to kind of practice with all of these for the next few days. All right. So if you're not feeling great about them, you can always go back and try that study Spanish again, right? And practice. Or there's, like I said, there's some practice that I needed you in theory to do on the textbook last night. And then I've got another one for you to look at for tonight. And if you don't do well on them, you'll notice that I reassign them to you so you can practice again. So before we talk about textbooks, I want to present to you a few new verbs. So I am going to screen share. You can just look with me right now because there's nothing you really need to write down at this time. And then I'll show you. It's you have this document, so you do not need to worry about pulling it up right now. Just look at my screen share. Okay. So unlike yesterday where I had you filling in all the verb charts and stuff, today I just thought I would kind of hit the highlights and go over it with you and give it to you. But I do want to talk it through to kind of give it to you in sort of some bite-sized pieces. And like I said, if you are feeling great about all these verbs, then it's just a quick refresh. But if you're not, then now is the time to go back through them. And so I kind of try to put them, like I said, in categories for you. So again, just look at my screen. You don't need to pull up anything on your own right this second. So look at my first area here. Okay, these are verbos irregulares. So we're all in the present tense for now. We are going to get back into the past tense, but for now we're all present tense. And you will see it says some verbs are only irregular in the yo form. So we often call these yo verbs. All right, so here are the 4 that I need you to make sure you are refreshed on. All right, so I'm going to just talk through them real quick here. We have conocer and saber, which both mean to know. You hopefully remember those, looking at those last year where you had to tell the difference between them. So conocer is like to know a person or a place, like be familiar with them. Like I know you guys, kind of. I've kind of met you. You know your family, you know Indianapolis, you're familiar with them. Ser is to know a fact, like I know how many students are in this class. Okay, that's when I would use ser. Now, both of these just happen to be irregular in the yo form. So conocer, if you'll look up here, look at your screen with me, just has a Z that we slide in there. Otherwise, it would be conozco. And we don't want the k sound, we want the s sound for C. So we just stick a Z in there and then it becomes yo conozco. Ser is just weird and irregular. Yo sé has a little accent on it. If you don't know something, no sé. Dar, I just told you about because you had a little practice there with dar. The yo form is just doi. Kind of like soy or boy, just is. The rest are all regular. So then you have das, da, damos, da, están. And there, same thing, it's a little verb. So I guess maybe if you think about it, if you just drop the ending, you'd have yo vo. And that's not a word. So they just stick the E back in there, yo veo. Okay, I didn't make it up, just passing it along. So these are the 4 that I would expect you to recognize, be able to produce. All right, so the second part here, it says some verbs are only irregular in the yo form, same as up here, but they have a go at the end of them. So we call them go verbs. All right, so I'm gonna run through them. We have yo hago, I do or I make. Yo pongo, I put. Yo salgo, I leave. Yo traigo, I bring. Yo caigo, I fall. All right. Again, I don't know why, just one of those things, but if you can kind of compartmentalize them, they all have go on the end. Hopefully a lot of them sound familiar to you because you used them last year. And again, the rest of the forms are as you would expect. So for hacer, for instance, the to form, you just go back to haces. All right, now I got 3 for you. All right, they're just go verbs in the yo form, but they're also irregular. They're kind of like stem changers. If you ever talked about boot verbs or shoe verbs, they're sort of boot verbs or shoe verbs without the yo form. So that's why they're not shoe verbs necessarily, because the yo form is a go verb. So I don't know. You can think of them as go verbs and shoe verbs. So let's start with tener. I'm going to go to the bottom because that one most people are pretty familiar with. All right. So we have yo tengo. It's a go verb. And then the rest are regular endings, S, S, A, ACE, and N. But then you have the stem changer. So they're what we call shoe verbs. If you remember, we drew a little shoe, and that meant that these kind of had a little stem change in them, but the yo form isn't included, all right? So again, you kind of just have to be aware of them and practice them. I'll have you just say them for me with me in just a second, okay? Then we have oír, to hear. I don't know how much time you spent on this one last year. This could be a new one for you. It's kind of fun to say. We'll say it together in a minute. So oigo, it's a go verb. And then you'll notice it has some Y's in it, right? In these forms anyway, right? And it would be weird if it said O-I-E. So oye. All right. Then up here we have good old decir, to say or to tell. So again, you have digo as the yo form. And then you'll notice the E changes to I for dices, dice, decimos, back to regular E, and dicen. So again, kind of like if you're going to try to remember a combination between a go verb and a stem changer. All right, I want to go through these real quick so you just kind of hear yourself saying them. If you were in class, I'd have you kind of working with the partner to say these, but obviously you're not. Yes, Gus, that's your camera. So I'm going to have you unmute for a second. And I'm going to have you repeat that just so you're at least getting a little pronunciation here. All right. So can you unmute for a minute? So I'm going to say it, then you say it. It's repeat then. All right. So I'm going to go through these so you can at least say them. All right. Ready? So I'll say yo digo, and now you say it.
Yo
digo.
Can you unmute if you're still muted? Tú dices.
Tú
Dices.
Él dice.
Él dice.
Thank you. Nosotros decimos.
Nosotros decimos.
I'll skip vosotros. Ellos dicen.
Ellos
Dicen.
Mhm. So you might know the expression como se dice. How do you say something? Como se dice? All right, let's go on to oír. I like saying this one. Repitan. Yo oigo.
Yo oigo.
Tú oyes.
Tú oyes.
Él oye.
Él oye.
Nosotros oímos.
Nosotros oímos.
Ellos oyen.
Ellos oyen.
Okay, so to hear. All right, and last one. I know we know this one. Yo tengo.
Yo tengo.
Yo tengo.
Tú tienes.
Tú tienes.
Tú tienes.
Él tiene.
Él tiene.
Nosotros tenemos.
Nosotros tenemos.
Ellos tienen. All right. So those notes are for you. Again, if you can print them off, that would be ideal. Stick them with the rest of these notes. If you can't, then save them somewhere. Okay, they are, oops. I really mean to do that. Hold on. JK. Okay, so they are under your current lesson. So if you want to go there with me and see them, you can. Otherwise, you can just know that they are there under your current lesson for today. And you can, here, I'll show you where they are. They're right here. So number 2 said yo verbs, go verbs, decir, oír, tener, right there. Okay, so if you are able to print those off later or put them in a Google folder with your notes or whatever, they're there. Okay. All right, last part of class here. I want to talk about the online textbook. You had 3 assignments from last night that were kind of short and sweet. And then I have another one for you today on verbos irregulares. So I want to make sure you can get there. I want to make sure you can submit assignments to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through real quick who I have received completed assignments from. And if you are one of those people, then you can just leave the Zoom after we talk and you can go work on your next assignment, okay? If I have not heard from you, then we're gonna talk together and I'm gonna make sure you can get there because I'm gonna start grading these assignments. And little extra thing, everybody listen, if you turn something in and you do not get at least a 70% on it, I'm gonna reassign it to you. Okay, 70 seems like a bare minimum. That shows me you know what you're doing and convenient for you and me. It's super easy. I just click a button and you get to redo it. So use your notes. If you need help, obviously ask. I do have office hours after school today. And otherwise, if you are just being sloppy the first time, then use your notes and do it again. But that's going to be kind of my standard. All right, you're going to get credit for it. But if you turn it in and it's not at least 70%, I'll ask you to redo it to get your credit. All right, it won't be late, but you need to get it there to get your points. Okay. All right. So listen up. I am going to share with you who is done on Zoom for the day, assuming you feel good about the textbook and you can just go finish up your assignments. And everybody else stick around and I will help you.